Hello everyone, great to see you all. That was a wicked presentation. That Jeff kid is going to be in my head for a while now. School battle rigs, that's so good. We got a really cool panel today. We are going to be talking a lot about kind of the direction that the AI industry is headed. And I'll do a little introduction to myself. So my name's Rourke. It's lovely to meet a lot of you guys here. So I'm a digital creator, content creator, started doing creative AI education about 2.5 years ago now, and started a creative AI education company about 8 months ago called GenHQ. I think we've got some students in the building today as well, so that's great. We're really going to talk about a lot of operational stuff with AI today, how companies can actually start integrating it into the actual existing workflows that you guys have, and also how we can make money with AI. So without further ado, let's get all of our panel on board. Come on in. Amazing. So do you guys want to do a little introduction to yourselves, just so that we all have context as to who we're talking to here?
Sure. So let's start. I'm Joaquin Cuenca, co-founder and CEO of Freepik. My background is actually in tech. My first company was a community of geo-photography. The idea was that people will take photos from places and they will upload them with the GPS coordinates, and you will be able to see the world through other people's lenses. Acquired by Google and then became part of Google Maps and Google Earth. It was a long time ago. And then I started like a couple more startups. One of them is Freepik. And this is it, the norm.
Pretty incredible startup. Hi everyone, I'm Neill Torbit. I'm the head of brand design and creative at Rightmove. So I've been working in the creative industries for 20 plus years, including 10 years in broadcast, more recently helping set up and run internal creative studios for brands. So I've seen a lot of technological change over the years, and we're really leaning into the use of AI currently at Rightmove.
Hello, I'm Faye. I am part of Omnicom Productions, which is now post-merger with IPG, the largest advertising agency in the world. And I look after the newly formed global synthetic part of the business, which acts like a bit of a consultancy. And there's just 4 of us at the moment, but we're aiming to grow that across the network. We've seen a ton of change too over the last 12 months or so.
Everyone, I'm Max. I'm a failed creative. My background's actually in fintech, so I was part of the early team that started Monzo, grew that brand over the last 7 or 8 years, and then recently joined Wonder. Wonder is an AI native creative studio. We got started last year. We're about 40 people now across London, SF, New York and Asia. We do agency work, we do IP work, and the thing sort of like powering everything underneath that is our app, where creators and brands are kind of connecting. We've done some really lucky to work with some amazing people, with people in this panel as well. And yeah, look forward to the conversation.
Amazing. Yeah, if you guys haven't heard of Wonder Studios, they are working on some of the most exciting projects in the AI space. They actually did a music video recently with Lewis Capaldi, which was released on his official channel, which is a huge step for the industry. And they've also done some work with Taylor Swift and some incredible artists, and across the board a really impressive company. So to kick things off, Faye, I'm going to come to you first. So you're sitting inside one of the largest creative organizations in the world, watching AI get adopted at a scale that a lot of people in this room can't imagine. From that vantage point, have you faced resistance or friction from creatives when they're asked to integrate AI into their workflows? And if so, how, as a leader, have you overcome that?
You switched up that question though, but I like
Sorry.
curveball.
Sorry.
Yes, absolutely. I think pre-AI becoming, as blown up as it is at the moment, my role was in implementing more traditional technologies. So to be honest, yes, but I don't see the changes as any different to the implementation of other technologies. I think change is hard, no matter what it is, big or small. People have a reaction at different points in the process anyway. There's certainly more hype around AI, and I feel like, especially at Omnicom at the moment, we've got a huge responsibility to make sure that we're using it responsibly and encouraging people to see it as a tool that supports their work, not replaces their work. And to be honest, most people have been ego. It's taken a bit of a journey, taken some time, but I think one of the great things that it's enabled, like we've just seen, is that now you as an individual, if you've got that right brain, can sit at a computer and, the world is your oyster. If you've got the idea, you can generate something. And it used to be that you had to be part of a team to do certain steps on that, but now it really is a right-brained world, and they can take over. The left brains have built stuff up for us, used all their tech, and now they've made it easier for creative people.
It's definitely empowering individuals. And Neill, kind of curious to know at Rightmove, how have you guys faced any kind of rejections to AI as a company from start? Yeah, has there been friction with integrating AI into the company? How have you found it?
I mean, our sort of AI journey, I think a lot of people necessarily think of AI, in order to use an AI solution, you have to have an AI problem to solve in the first place. And I think that's true in a lot of industries. And I think that's probably a logical way to do it. We sort of started a bit earlier than that, and that we wanted to start getting ahead of what we needed to do by sort of immersing ourselves before that's the case. So that sort of journey started by bringing on the tools and experimenting before we even had a use case for them, a need for them. And I think that's standing us in good stead this year, when the sort of the acceleration of the industries and the motivations and the desires are now there to actually put those need cases in. So the resistance, there wasn't really the resistance. I think there's a lot of excitement, and the barriers were probably more just about learning, understanding what the tools were able to do. But also, I think the fact that the tools are moving so quickly can be a bit mind-boggling as well. I think you've really got to be quite aware of what is going on at a very current level in order to know what to use. I think that's why one of the reasons we found Freepik useful was that it's got all the tools we would ever use anyway. So if some of them are good for some things and some of them are current leaders, we can sort of lean into that. So not resistance, I would say.
Okay. It's interesting because you guys are producing volume of content, the size of the company that you guys are. You're living at an at-scale problem from an enterprise side. So what does your workflow actually look like now, and how can AI operationally help a company like Rightmove?
So, I mean, that's not quite true. The thing about Rightmove is that because we're a sort of a brand-based business, we're not a business that does actually a high volume of advertising. We don't do performance marketing, banner ads, ones that are optimized, and sort of that high volume of work. So, which is actually sort of the low-hanging fruit and the normal place that you would start with to do AI stuff. And there's actually a lot of optimization and automation that AI is in that space. We don't actually do that sort of advertising. We're primarily a brand advertiser, and we're not at the stage yet where we would do our sort of big TV ad in AI, though we're sort of fast moving towards that space. But what we're doing is we've got a middle ground, like paid social advertising, that still has to be a high quality because it's got a large spend behind it. But we, 6 months ago, September of last year, we did our first ever completely AI generated advertisement, which was a paid social ad, and we used Freepik as an essential tool in there. And that was the beginning of our sort of journey. And that means now that we're able to have the confidence to do more of that type of work. So we haven't sort of started at the bottom, the sort of the low-hanging fruit. We've sort of started somewhere in the middle with the aspiration to lift it quite high in terms of what we want to do and the quality that we want to do.
What creative behavior are you seeing emerge that the industry hasn't caught up to yet? And kind of following on from that, we're approaching a moment where every brand has access to the same models, same tools, the same capabilities. If Gen AI becomes the level playing field, what's the new source of creative differentiation?
Okay, let's take it. So first of all, you ask what kind of trends the industry has not yet catch up with. One of them is related to how much one person can do. And I don't believe into doing a lot to put out many things out there. I believe into playing a lot, really increase the quality of what you do. It's a little bit like, you keep kicking the ball to learn how to make the perfect shot eventually. Like, for example, in the last 4 weeks, we saw an increase on the images generated on the platform, 8 double control weeks. The amount of images and videos that are generated far exceed the number of photographies that were ever taken in history. And this is like growing exponentially, like doubling in 4 weeks. It's it's part painful. So that's one thing, is the scale at which this is growing. This growing in adoption. Our biggest enterprise customer, they multiply by 22 in 1 month. Wow. Over 500 people using the platform, and they still plan to keep multiplying, by a couple of offers like it. So it's many people getting into the game. My expectation is that we will see fewer people working. I mentioned that before, like working on the execution. The war in execution. It's when you know exactly what you want to do, but you still don't have it. And we will have more people thinking about new ideas what we can bring to the table. I think it's going to be funny. May I having a great time and I'm able to do things that I was never be able to do before. I'm turning like the bedtime stories into comics for the kids. And at the office, some of us, not me in particular, but some people, they are making like short films that didn't exist before. And when we think about marketing, is okay, what crazy new ideas? It's like come out with new ideas, come out with something that is novel, and that's on us. And now the execution is gonna be easier than that.
And what do you think, when everyone has access to the AI tools, what's going to differentiate someone?
Well, I think to me, this gets a bit philosophical. It gets into the main difference, to me at least, between an artificial intelligence and a human intelligence is not so much on the capability. I think AI will catch up and exceed us in some domains. To me, the main difference is that an artificial intelligence, being a digital construct, is something that you can copy. Okay, so you can absolutely get 100% to the current state. You can copy it, you can pause it, you can resume it. In a way, there is interest. It can become an intelligence that never dies. There is interest. You can always, you can keep like backups, or keep it running afterwards. It's not the same thing for a human. We only get one shot. Okay, so you cannot be boast, have to always be running, and you cannot selectively forget. In AI, you can, it's something that you don't like, you can rewind back to a previous state and run it again. And we see that with AI. You talk to an AI with something that you don't like, you stop the session to start again. So in a way, humans, we cannot be copied. We're absolutely unique. And what makes us unique is the sum of our experiences, is what we went through life. And that's what the computers like, just, have a life, bring, have interesting things. I mean, be interesting, be interested, those two things. Try to gather experiences, because that's, at the end of the day, that's the only thing that's going to be unique to you. Yeah, that's what you bring to the table.
For sure. And I think this is something that, like, I've always talked about as well, is when you arrive at that prompt bar, it's all of the training data that you have inside your head, your life experiences, the decisions that you've made, the places that you visited, and the people that you've met that come into your head for your creativity. So trying to like enrich your life, as you said earlier, and enrich your experiences and do more. I have a friend who says, go and do stand-up comedy, and that will like challenge you creatively beyond anything that you could possibly do. And I just think like enriching yourself in life is actually like a really nice thing, because it kind of relates back to this like AI computer-based thing where we're all behind a computer, but it comes back to the fact that it's life experiences all really matter. It's the human operator behind the machine. And Max, I kind of want to come to you now. So Wonder Studios, as I mentioned earlier, you guys have worked on full AI productions for some of the biggest artists in the world, Rourke Sefton-Minns and Taylor Swift, as I mentioned. projects that were physically impossible, in timescales that were physically impossible as well, just 2 years ago. You're clearly landing contracts that most AI production companies aren't. So I want to understand, what do you think separates Wonder Studios?
It's pretty kind. Listen, like I wish I could tell you we had some secret model that means that every time we outperform. Like the way we think about it is, you know, AI, there's a lot of hype, and rightly so, but in this particular field, like this has happened before. And if you go 20, 30 years back, you know, suddenly computer animation was more widely available. But 30 years on, there's only like 3 or 4 Pixars, right? And a lot of people who you don't know the names of. And I think what, you know, the lessons we learn from them and what, you know, we implement when we work with other folk is like the magic really happens when everyone's in the room together. You know, like having the creative technologists with the traditional storytellers. You know, for Lewis as an example, like it was magical. Like we were in a room, it was us as creators, and we had like a traditional writer, Google DeepMind, and Universal. And so it's not like an individual sport, it's really a team sport, and the more that, you know, we're doing that, the better the product that we can create. And you know, there's no special sauce. You know, we built a community around Wonder, which means that we get the, you know, absolute treat of working with the best people, and that compounds. But really it's a way of working, it's not like some secret technological breakthrough.
Yeah. Wonder Studios have an app that I would recommend that a lot of creatives in the room, if you haven't heard about it, I would check it out. It brings creatives together. You can find work on the app. There's lots of stuff that you guys are doing. Do you want to touch on it as well? Kind of just talk about like what the app does for creatives in the room.
Yeah, sure. So creators come to the app for a few things. It's community, but it's also a place where people are like being vulnerable, sharing their work, and everyone's jumping in and feedbacking on it. And also we've got a jobs board there, which we don't take a commission from. We open source that, and the idea is that brands can come and find the best talent, all talent can come and find the best brands. And you know, we just generally believe that we're so early in this thing, right? And just building the pie is everyone's bet.
Easy. So this is going to be a question to open up to everyone here. So I kind of want to get specific about video. So AI imagery has come a really, really long way. We passed the uncanny valley now. For those of you who might not know what that term is, it basically means that you can no longer tell what is real and what is not with AI generated images. Nano Banana Pro completely changed the game when it was released. We can create photorealistic images, and we have some exciting advances with video. We've got C-Dance on the horizon. We've got Kling, which, as we've spoken about, is already available. I want to ask you guys how you feel about AI video. Is it there yet? What constitutes as production ready? If we want to kind of go down it.
I mean, it is a long way there. Like, you don't get 100% still of the time the right video. When it's, I don't think that's important threshold. The important threshold is it a tool that you can use today to get useful work done? Yes, I says. And is it a useful tool that you can get to do something that brings you satisfaction? I think the answer is yes. So those two things, like it's useful both in a work and in a personal context. And then the glitches, it's almost perfect. I mean, you saw like some examples, okay? It's pretty good. It's really good. But especially, it doesn't need to be perfect to be something that we enjoy. I mean, you mentioned before Pixar, like Toy Story doesn't try to be photorealistic. But you still have the story. It's a medium that you can use to tell a story. Okay, so is it a medium that is good enough to tell a story? Yes, it is.
Neill?
I think the point about animation is a good one. I mean, I'll put it into the context of advertising. If we were to think about whether we would use a real person or a generated person in a campaign, the first thing we'd ask ourselves is, would we use a CG person or an animated person? And if the answer to that is yes, we could do that. for whatever reason, because the story is so important that the person doesn't matter, or the humor and the actual script are so strong that we don't need a human performance, then a CG AI person could be a possibility. But if we were making something where there was a human truth that needed to be conveyed by a real person, then it needs to be a real person.
I know Netflix have set up guardrails around AI, and like one of their rules is that they're not going to use AI to like generate scenes and people and things like that. Do you guys have guardrails that you use? I mean, you just kind of mentioned you talked about one. Do you have any others that?
We're working on some less than elastic ones, because every time we come up with a new use case, we kind of have to rethink it. It's interesting because for us, there's a lot of chat about people as being a sort of a red line, using real people as opposed to AI people, as opposed to CG people on that. Whereas, at Rightmove, our primary product is actually houses and places. So the only kind of real hard rule that we've made is that when we're representing a real place or a real house, that has to be real.
Makes sense. Faye?
So answer to your first question about video models being ready, I'd say they are production ready, but I'd recommend working with an AD or an editor that understands the limitations of AI, because then you can cut around it and then you'd never know. Things like maybe just faster scenes, chopping it up a bit more, or avoiding anything with fine text, because I think that's getting better really quickly, but still with transitions that suffers a little bit. But yeah, we've absolutely produced some great video content, but with people that can work around some of the limitations, and that gap's getting smaller all the time.
So do you think like a valuable skill for creatives is being able to identify what are the limitations of models? And
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think having AI savvy people at every touch point can really help. So AI savvy producers, as an example, and then editors, everybody involved in the process of whatever it is you're developing, then can really help. So if that story needs to support the intended way of production from the very beginning, then feed all the way up. The hybrid, we spoke about hybrid workflows, right? I think that's if we need that perfection in quality, where we get to.
Yeah, we can talk for years about hybrid. Listen, I agree with what everyone said. I think that I'll keep it short. Like, there's no new model that we're all holy grail waiting for that's going to make things production ready, right? Like, if model development stopped today, we already have the tools to, work around the limitations, establish the guardrails as brands as well. It's like the industry that needs to keep up to be production ready. I don't think it's a model problem. It's not been strained by tech.
Okay, awesome.